Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYNT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Emily Bennett. While many are worried about the coronavirus, tonight our weather team is worried about the severe threat for Thursday. Chief Meteorologist Paige Amell joins us now for more. Paige?
Well, Emily, we have been talking about it kind of throughout the day. We've been under that slight risk, and we are still under that slight risk for severe weather for tomorrow. Remember, that's a 2 out of 5 on that severe weather scale. Really, all of eastern Kentucky, Tennessee, and even some Virginia counties are in this, while the rest of us, especially our West Virginia counties, are in that marginal risk, which is only a 1 out of 5 on the severe weather scale. So as we head into tomorrow night, especially the overnight hours, make sure you have a way to get watches and warnings. The best way is to download the WYMT weather app, have a weather radio, and make sure that is on and charged as you head into the overnight hours, as this system does look to move in overnight. Now for satellite and radar, we've seen those clouds clear out. It's a pretty nice evening, and temperatures, well, they'll be into about those mid to upper 40s tomorrow morning. But as we head throughout the day, temperatures warm up, rain chances and storms increase by the afternoon and evening hours. I'll have those details coming up in a little bit.
Thank you, Paige. Now, President Trump called for unity while addressing the nation from the Oval Office on his administration's new steps to control coronavirus outbreak in the U.S. Now, the death toll in the U.S. climbed to at least 38 people, with more than 1,000 cases spread across about 40 states and the District of Columbia. Deborah Alfarone is at the White House with more.
President Donald Trump announced a 30-day suspension of travel from Europe to begin Friday at midnight, with an exception for the United Kingdom.
And taking early, intense action, we have seen dramatically fewer cases of the virus in the United States than are now present in Europe.
The president also asked Congress for an additional $50 billion in funding for small business loans, and says he will call on the IRS to delay the April 15th tax deadline for certain businesses and individuals.
I will always put the well-being of America first.
Stocks plummeted after the World Health Organization changed its assessment of the outbreak.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
At a hearing on Capitol Hill, the nation's top expert on infectious diseases issued a dire warning to lawmakers.
We will see more cases, and things will get worse than they are right now.
Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi have been meeting in person and over the phone to try and find some common ground over a coronavirus stimulus package. House Democrats say they have legislation that will call for free testing, paid sick leave, expanded unemployment insurance, and SNAP increases. They plan to bring it to a vote Thursday.
This is fundamentally what the American people need, and it's fundamentally what the American economy needs.
The Capitol is expected to cancel all public tours. The NCAA says it'll allow only essential staff and limited family members for tournament games, while the NBA has suspended its season until further notice. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Now, the NBA announced it will suspend the season after Wednesday night's games until further notice. The president's temporary ban on travel from Europe will not apply to U.S. citizens who undergo appropriate screenings. Now, the coronavirus is also reaching the sports world tonight, as a number of organizations have made some type of announcement regarding the outbreak. Sports Director Willie Hope updates us on the latest changes going forward. Willie?
Thank you, Emily. Like she said, the coronavirus has caused a number of organizations to go without fans. The biggest one right now affecting Big Blue Nation is the SEC. Earlier this evening, the SEC announced that starting on Thursday, they would hold the SEC tournament games with, quote, only essential staff, limited family, and credentialed media in attendance at Bridgestone Arena. That means that all Power 5 conferences from Thursday on will not have any fans in the stands. Now, the SEC, of course, like I said, one of those Power 5 conferences without fans. That is a response to the NCAA announcing earlier on Wednesday in a statement that the tournament will be held without fans as both men's and women's. In the statement, NCAA President Mark Emmert says the men's and women's tournaments will be held with only essential staff and limited family attendance. Media presence for this one is still up in the air. This does include the Final Four, which will be held in Atlanta later in the beginning of April. Now, the NBA continued the cancellations, as you heard, that they are not just restricting fans. The association has also suspended their season indefinitely, including games that were supposed to be played tonight. The Jazz and Thunder game was scheduled for tonight, but right before the tip, the refs received word from the league office to postpone the game. That's because Jazz center Rudy Gobert tested positive for the virus. He was out for today's game with an illness. Now, the 2020 KHSAA Girls Sweet 16 tournament started today, and just like many other associations, as you heard, the board has been looking at what their next step should be. Commissioner Julian Tackett addressed the media after the third game of the tournament due to the questions and concern the organization was faced with.
You know, our plans right now are that we are gathering data tonight and tomorrow morning. We are scheduled to talk with our Department of Education again in the morning, and likely with the governor's office, who has asked for us to be involved in a conversation and looking at alternative plans. Yes, those plans could go into effect as early as Friday. And yes, those plans would impact more than just the girls' tournament.
Now, Tackett said that specific plans have not been set yet, but playing the tournament without fans is better than not playing at all. He also went on to say that postponing the tournament will be hard to do with the contract obligations with Rupp Arena and the KHSAA spring schedule. Of course, we will update you on all the changes in the sports world as they come, especially the KHSAA, who, like we said, is discussing the different possibilities, as you heard. Emily?
Yes, thank you, Willie. Now, with students on spring break next week, the University of Kentucky is making changes to combat the spread of COVID-19. After break ends, UK is moving to online classes only for 2 weeks. That will continue through April 3rd. A spokesperson for UK says the university's goal is to return to normal campus operations on April 6th, but says given the fluidity of the situations, plans could change. Meanwhile, some other Kentucky colleges and universities are making changes in response to the coronavirus. Berea College will end all classes on Friday. EKU will remain open beginning March 23rd. All EKU courses will be delivered remotely, either online or through other established alternative learning options. And tomorrow, Morehead State University says they plan on sending a, quote, important coronavirus planning communication. Today, Governor Beshear encouraged all Kentuckians to avoid large crowds and recommended churches cancel services this week. The governor also said he has suspended visitor access at all state prisons. Now, many county jails are following the lead and limiting visitors. Chelsea Jones talked with jailers about canceling visitations.
No visitors allowed at several jails in Kentucky, all in response to COVID-19.
We also are limiting client, attorney, one-on-one visits that we normally would have to behind the glass.
The new policy going into effect at Woodford County and Fayette County detention centers after Governor Andy Beshear canceled visitation at all state prisons. Jailers say it's an effort to protect staffers and inmates.
They eat together, you know, they sleep in the same area, they use, you know, some of the same restrooms and showers. So that's why we're doing this out of safety.
In years past, after responding to cases of the flu and hepatitis A, jailers say they are taking the same precautions.
Taking extra steps as far as wiping down their phones, while, you know, sanitizing the common areas. All the inmates have hand sanitizer in their cells.
They tell us on any given day, anywhere from a few dozen to over 100 visitors can come into the building, putting a lot of people at risk.
So this is our visitation area here. So you could see that even though we don't have direct contact with the inmate population, there still is the ability for it to be spread because there's air gaps around the windows.
They say inmates are also being screened for fever and are learning proper hand washing techniques. In Lexington, Chelsea Jones, WKYT.
The visitation policies are also restricted at some eastern Kentucky jails. We're trying to gather more information on those for you. Now, here at WYMT, we've received dozens of questions tonight about a false claim that someone tested positive for COVID-19 at Hazard ARH. Now, we want to let you know we talked directly to hospital officials who told us they have no confirmed cases. We will keep you up to date if any coronavirus cases are confirmed in eastern Kentucky. You can find the latest information over on WYMT.com. Now, another fake alert says there's a case of coronavirus in Pike County. The public health director for the county says they were made aware of it, and they add it's a shame someone is causing unnecessary fear. There are no cases as of now, and the texts were given to law enforcement to investigate.
Well, I can say that in Pike County that there are a variety of stakeholders and first-line healthcare providers and organizations that are preparing and planning for Pike County. So we want Pike County to know to remain calm and that we're ready.
The health department adds that any information on cases will come from a trusted source and they will be transparent. Now, some may be unsure if they are doing too much or too little to stay safe. Concerns about the coronavirus grow as the number of cases continues to increase, with questions as to what other practices can be done to stay safe. Here in Perry County, New Beginning Child Development Center is taking more precautions than normal. Other than washing hands and wiping surfaces, they may now ask parents for more documentation when bringing a sick child back into their care.
With fever, we have a policy of 24-hour fever-free before you can come back. Sometimes we need a doctor's statement saying they're not contagious to return back to daycare.
Rice also says on their Facebook page they have included items they sanitize at the center so parents can do the same at home. Now, as many take precautions to stop the spread of the coronavirus, Baptist Health Corbin has activated temporary visitor restrictions. Visitations will be limited to immediate family only. Today I spoke to hospital officials about these restrictions. The coronavirus has not entered eastern Kentucky, but this hospital is taking every health measure possible.
Out of an abundance of caution for our elderly population, patients, and our visitors and staff.
The hospital is activating temporary visitor restrictions.
Typically we have no restrictions, it's pretty open.
But now the emergency department, as well as all other adult units, will only allow 2 immediate family visitors at a time. And in the NICU, only parents and grandparents are allowed.
Limiting those number of visitors down, it's really the best for our patients, and we hope everybody understands that and adheres to those guidelines.
Anthony Powers says the rooms usually are packed with 8 to 10 people.
Eastern Kentucky's a very family culture, and so we will see aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, mother, fathers.
But those rooms will not be full again until they see the risk drop.
Probably at least through the months of March and April.
Encouraging all those who feel sick to call the state hotline.
They actually will walk you through a screening questionnaire, and then they will direct you where to go for care.
Helping you get care without infecting other people. Hospital officials are still saying the best preventative measure is to wash your hands frequently. They encourage family not to visit loved ones in the hospital if they are feeling under the weather. A lab in the United Kingdom is looking for volunteers to be infected with the coronavirus as companies around the world race to find a cure. The company hVivo is looking for 50 healthy volunteers. They're willing to pay them $4,500 to be infected. Those who are chosen for the clinical trial will be infected with a less dangerous strain of the coronavirus rather than the potentially deadly COVID-19.
It is the best possible option because another coronavirus is going to be the most similar to COVID-19. And for ethical reasons, we can't be infecting healthy people with COVID-19.
The patients will be quarantined in a room at the lab for about 2 weeks. The company hopes to start the research in the coming months. Now join us at 7 tomorrow night for Coronavirus, a Community Conversation. We will be featuring various health and community leaders about the virus, how it's transmitted, and the impact on our community. That's live at 7 right here on WYMT. Stay with us. We'll be right back.